Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Freedom Radio Hour. I'm your host, DJ Adam Cruz, and I have my fantastic co-host here,
Eddie Nicholas. What up, beautiful people? Welcome to Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan. What up, Mr. Adam Cruz? What's going on in the news and in the world today?
Well, I thought we'd take a little trip and we dive into some international news. As always, the Freedom Radio Hour is here giving you that good music along with that wonderful music business news and trends from around the globe. We've been spending a lot of time on U.S. copyright and U.S. streaming dilemmas.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of news around it. But this time I want to talk a little bit more about what's happening on the global scene. I'm not sure if you're into this. I thought you'd get a chuckle. Are you into cricket at all? Do you know anything about cricket?
Cricket? That's such a game that they play over there in India, I presume, correct?
They do. Well, every year, the cricket tournaments, it's called the Indian Premier League. They have an annual event, and it's like one of the most watched sporting events in the world.
Okay.
So they're having a bit of a trouble because the ASCAP BMI, the Performance Rights Society over there in India, is battling the organizers of this cricket tournament. Why? Because there is there's music that needs to be licensed in order to be used during the opening ceremonies of the event.
Okay, so in other words, that would be like when we have these great big old football events.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like just think like either the halftime show or like at the beginning of Olympics or whatever music that's being used that you hear, you obviously a fee is paid in order for you to use that. Well, the organizers of the Indian Premier League, the cricket tournament, they are reluctant, quote unquote, to pay fees to the ASCAP BMI version of India. They're called CAVCA, CAVCA. Anyway, so they're in a big battle right now because the cricket tournament is just about to start and they have yet to solidify and resolve this problem, which leads me to our bigger dilemma, because if we're here in the U.S. trying to figure out why is it that we're getting such little money? Now, okay, we kind of figured out, okay, there's a middle person who's negotiating the deals with the aggregators. They make the lion's share of the money. Okay, so at least we know what the problem is. Now, in India is a totally different game, yet they're having the same problem. It's as if there's a global consensus that feels that music is in the periphery, in the background, is ambiance, but
noise.
It's not. It's noise. It's not like this like value commodity. Is that when you hear about the story in India? I mean, their Premier League. You know they have money. Do you know that they are making millions of dollars per year in sponsorship and advertisement, et cetera, from these tournaments? Yet they don't want to pay the flat fees to our music authors and our copyright owners. I feel like, okay, do we need to do something totally different? Because if we're having a problem with licensing music in the U.S. and we're having a problem licensing the music into a big event like that, what does that say about the state of affairs? You know what I mean? And I remember the one time you were saying, I love that one time I had my music played and Buffy the Vampire Slayer in Belgium somewhere, and you got a little check from that. That's wonderful, even if it was a little bit of money. But in India, there's a larger market. It's all Bollywood country. There's a lot of music, a lot of people to consume the music, yet you can't even get paid in a bigger area.
We also have to look at, while we say those countries are huge, the reality is that many of those citizens don't have access to internet, nor do they listen to what we call the mainstream music for those people to be rewarded with, from their music being played. Because again, you're looking at a country with billions of people.
Right.
And a lot of that country is rural.
Right. Well,
farmers.
Well, according to CAVCA, they represent over 100 countries in the world. And it's a big problem. They're hoping that they could resolve it.
That's not the Middle East. That's what?
That's Asia.
Asia.
Yep. So they're trying to deal with that. But I also thought, okay, since we're on the subject of Asia, we should talk about something else that's happening. China. I don't know if you know much about the Chinese music industry. Have you heard anything about what's happening in China with music?
No, and I don't want to make a major faux pas like I made earlier with Ming Tsai. He's gonna read.
I know, Eddie. During the break, we were talking, and I was mentioning this piece we were about to discuss, and he said, "Oh, then how does Psy make his money? From Gangnam Style?" I was like, "Oh, Eddie, he is Korean, so I don't know what the Korean music business is, but I wonder what's happening." But in China, I've come to find out that there's a brand new article that's been published that discusses the Chinese music industry. Evidently, one of the biggest ways to make money in China is through karaoke houses. The performance royalty that you earn from your song being performed at these various karaoke houses. Evidently in China, first of all, currently China has 1.3 billion citizens. Okay? Now, their version, their ASCAP BMI version out there in China, says that it's been able to collect only 10% of the more than 66,000 sing-along clubs that exist in China. So, yeah. And out of that, they said that that's what's out there now is over 110 million US dollars. That's suspended income, the income that hasn't been tagged to the right person to then give that money out. So they're trying to do some enforcement here. It's a huge company, it's a huge country rather, and this like little company is trying to do what it can to make money from karaoke houses. I come to find out that guess how much that the patrons are paying? $1.50 per karaoke room per day.
See, I just got a headache. Again, every time you turn around, the music is devalued.
Yes.
And nobody makes any music, again, like we said, but the ones who are storehousing it and shipping it out. The aggregator.
Yes, all those middle people and aggregators are making the lion's share, but they're also under fire too because
they need to be.
Some of these companies, these performance rights organizations, while they seemingly are going after and enforcing policies to make get us our money, some of them are under fire because according to the articles I'm reading, some of them are taking upwards of 50%
of course
of the income that they're collecting as an admin fee. So we're going to talk a little bit more on that. We're also going to break down what's happening with the latest with Tidal. We were discussing Jay-Z's brand new streaming service entitled Tidal and what's happening with that. And we have yet another update on the case regarding Victor Willis. He's the cop from the Village People, the disco group.
Yes.
So we're going to take a break right here
on Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan. Boom, 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 boom. Be right back.
Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
What up, beautiful people, and welcome back to Capital Radio 91.6 FM. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie Nicholas, and I'm here with my magnificent friend over here,
Adam Cruz. We're live and direct right here on the Freedom Radio Hour, giving you music, business, news, and trends from around the globe. Before we broke, we were discussing what's happening in the music business around the globe. Check back for more of our report regarding the Chinese music business and what's happening with the cricket tournament out in India. They're called the Indian Premier League. They're basically not trying to pay us writers whenever they're using our songs during the opening ceremonies. So we need to deal with that ASAP.
Yes.
But I also wanted to break down what's happening on the U.S. because, the big news item right now is Tidal. We've been talking about it in previous episodes. Tidal is now owned by Jay-Z. It's a Norwegian company. Actually, the umbrella company is called WIMP. WIMP, and then they're out of Norway, but they have a U.S. side called Tidal, which Jay-Z is now using that to use his fan base and his celebrity friends' fan bases and galvanize the people to hopefully make this Tidal service, boom and make everybody some money. Yes. So Tidal is trying to
make who some money? Make him some money.
Well, him and his 15 friends. Because we're talking like Madonna, Rihanna, Beyonce,
all
Kanye.
the folks that is already rich as forever God sends.
Exactly. So what he's done with Tidal is to say we're going to be a premier service. Yes, Spotify, you have to pay $10 a month. For us, you'll have to pay $20 a month. But we're like the Bose of streaming. So we're going to be high-end streaming, high-fidelity sound. But on top of that, Jay-Z is boasting the exclusive content that's available only on Tidal. So to begin with, you had Rihanna just uploaded a brand new video, and so did Beyonce. And what do you think their super fans did?
Snatch!
They sure did. They ripped it from the Tidal service and promptly put it up on YouTube.
Which YouTube was probably told to take it down.
Right, and then you have another fan that will rip it and then put it up under a different name, and all the people will find it and stream it for free.
What's the other one? Vivo,
all of them.
All of them.
All of them. So I find that fascinating that in an effort to try to be exclusive and have like a sort of premier service, that you end up like shooting yourself in the foot sometimes. You and I have been talking about this forever, that we don't think most of the people in the world would rather pay $10 than $20 and don't really care that you don't get such high quality sound. You and I care.
Let's even break it down a little further. Most of the people could care less to pay $10.
Well, listen. Well, that's
when they could just do just like they did it, snatch it.
Yes, and rip it. And that's a very good point, because I was going to bring up the fact that the music industry is now up in arms, and they have demanded that there's a base that we maintain in the industry of $10 a month at the base minimum when we talk about streaming services. Why? Because like I told you, you know that Beats, Dr. Dre with his headphones, which by the way came out that while it's hundreds of dollars to buy, it actually costs $14 to make.
And don't forget your 99 cents, $14.99.
Yes, exactly. Yes, so evidently Beats headphones and Apple have merged, and now they have Beats subscription service, which is about to launch. They should have launched already, but they're about to do that. And so they're trying to say that we're going to undercut the competition. So instead of 10, maybe they'll offer it at like 8. But the industry is saying, wait, hold up, we need to have a base minimum. The problem with the industry is that they never seem to have enough muscle or lobby to make that stick. Meaning that they could have a lot of bark and say, this is what we want. But at the end of the day, if private businesses are lowering the price, because how do we even arrive at a $10? And here we go again. It's like our story we talk about where we ended up at 99 cents and we only bumped up to $1.29 in all these years. When we're talking about downloads, the same could be applied to the streaming model. You know, here we go again. Shooting ourselves in the foot, I believe, or cutting ourselves at the knee by offering this rate. You know,
and again, as I always say, once that Pandora's box has been opened, it cannot be closed.
Yeah, it cannot be closed. I totally feel you. But you know what? There does seem to be some control from the copyright perspective. We've talked before about Taylor Swift pulling her catalog from Spotify in the name of wanting to take a stand for us artists who aren't getting enough. But I understand that Mr. Victor Willis of the disco group The Village People, he's been in the news with us a lot. We've been covering his case where he has retained copyright ownership of mega songs like YMCA, In the Navy, and others. But now he's gone even further. So Eddie, what's up with the update with that?
He's actually looking at doing just like some of these other people, like Pharrell and what's his name, Elo, chick you just named.
Yes.
You know, I'm fumbling now, but anyway, they're not making enough money from the royalties that they used to make, and he is thinking about pulling some of his songs down from the Village People, the Ritchie Family, Patrick Juvet, I Love America, all of those fabulous songs.
So he wants to pull them.
He wants to pull them because they're
and he's
not
following Taylor Swift and Adele. They all pull their stuff.
You know, even though he has garnered millions already, those songs are still in heavy rotation, and now they're in rotation, and you're not getting nothing but a fraction.
You aren't. But I also think like it's like a silly exercise. Okay, so he pulls it, but you are aware that you could still get Taylor Swift, Adele, and Village People stuff
everywhere.
on other services.
Other services.
It's like taking a stand for the silliest of reasons, because I could still find the product. That was some of the reviews when we go back to Tidal. That it's $20 a month, but I can't get all of the other products. Some albums are on Spotify, others aren't. It's real complicated. We're gonna take another break. When we come right back, we're gonna break down more of what we're talking about here. Music, business, news, and trends from around the globe. Where?
Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan.
Freedom Radio Hour.
And we're back right here on the Freedom Radio Hour, live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan. I'm your host, DJ Adam Cruz, and I have my fantastic co-host here,
Eddie Nicholas. What's up, beautiful people? Glad to be back with you.
Exactly. Before we took a break, you were about to make a point. We were discussing how, in an effort to pull your product from, say, Spotify, if you're a Taylor Swift or now a Victor Willis, you're taking a stand because you feel like we're not getting enough money made on the streaming, so let me pull it from from Spotify to take a stand and to protect my copyright. However, I was making the point that it's available still, these songs, on other streaming services.
And trust me, I know, for a matter of fact, if I typed in you and my name, we could find our songs being sold or given away over in Russia.
Right.
Someplace. So, you know, while you may remove it from Spotify, we must remember, I have a friend that has a friend who has a friend.
Everybody has a friend who has a friend who
that
has
says,
a friend.
Oh, by the way, I had do you want?
Right. And you know what?
It's just as simple as that.
Well, that leads me to a great point, because when we were discussing at the Winter Music Conference, problem with streaming and trying to work with young people who don't have, say, like PayPal or debit cards at the ready, they're also saying another way that people are getting over is to buy it once and share it many times.
Well, that's what's been happening
For the longest. You know, that's no surprise, but that's kind of what's been happening. But I'll tell you what, when we come back on this episode, we're going to talk more about this, because I feel like right around this time we want to break down the latest what's happening in U.S. copyright law, because a big change is happening. And I understand that, like in China and India, there's a fight now to be more proactive in enforcing the laws pertaining to performance rights royalties. What does that mean to you and I? That maybe finally we'll see some money.
And we're talking about worldwide.
Right. But I'm talking in the U.S. here, you know, we have a big problem where the clubs and such, there's too many of them that are not reporting the songs that they're playing and paying the correct fees. So I think next time we're going to break down and see what's happening on the U.S. side to deal with enforcement around performance rights
royalties. You're talking about like the bars?
Yes. Clubs and all the places we go that you know they're not paying to no ASCAP, nor BMI, nor CSAC, you know? But anyway, thank you so much for tuning into the Freedom Radio Hour live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan. Check out EddieNicholas.com, DJAdamCruz.com, and all our beautiful music. As Eddie always says, Google. See you guys next time. Peace.
Capital Radio 91.6 FM.